Hey, good afternoon to you. It's 407 here, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we are making sense of the news. Coming up today on the program, former U.S. Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund will be with us at 5 o'clock. He's going to respond to the latest report out of Congress indicating that he was right and the media were wrong about the events of January 6th and who exactly was stopping the National Guard and so much more. That's ahead at 5 o'clock. You can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. A rare joint statement from a variety of federal agencies released today. DHS, FBI, FAA, DOD, all responding to what they say are the reported drone sightings. They claim in this statement there are more than 1 million drones lawfully registered with the FAA in the United States, and there are thousands of commercial, hobbyist, and law enforcement drones lawfully in the sky on any given day. With the technology landscape evolving, we expect that number to increase over time. They say the FBI has received tips of more than 5,000 reported drone sightings in the last few weeks, with approximately 100 leads generated. And the federal government is supporting state and local officials in investigating these reports. They say they've even sent advanced detection technology to the region, and they've sent trained visual observers. These would be people with eyeballs and brains to stare into the sky. Trained visual observers. Having closely examined the technical data and tips from concerned citizens, we assess that the sightings to date include a combination of lawful commercial drones, hobbyist drones, and law enforcement drones, as well as manned fixed-winged aircraft, helicopters, and stars mistakenly reported as drones. We have not identified anything anomalous, say the feds, and do not assess the activity to date to present a national security or public safety risk over the civilian airspace in New Jersey or other states in the Northeast. What to make of this? Well, let's turn to a former Navy helicopter pilot, former congressional candidate, and a 20-year FBI veteran himself. Mike Van Meter joins us back on the program. Mike, good to have you back with us, sir.
Hey, Vince. It's great to be back with you again.
Okay, so does this answer all of our questions about what's up with the drones?
Absolutely not. One of the things, what's funny is when I taught interviewing an interrogation down at the FBI Academy, one of the things that we talk about is that when you're dealing with a suspect that is lying to you, and they know they're lying to you, they overwhelm you with information, extraneous information. And one of the things I've noticed about this administration is that what they like to do is they like to just give you lots of numbers. For example, how about all the intel officials, the 51 intel officials? Like, one or two of them would have sufficed, right? Mm-hmm. Or one of them would have sufficed, but we need 51. In this particular case, we're lumping in the FAA, the FBI, DOD. We're lumping in everyone and saying, hey, we all agree on this.
Yes.
But let me ask you, does anybody trust anything that this administration is saying right now? Because just in the last week, we've had contradictory statements from these guys. In fact, Mayorkas just said, I believe as of yesterday, that the drones are real. Now, you mentioned that I'm a helicopter pilot. One of the other things is that I also got certified to fly drones. And, for those that haven't looked into this and don't know anything about it, you can't just go out and rent a drone the size of what's being reported and fly it around your yard. You can't do that. You have to be licensed to do that. And the FAA is aware of this. They know who you are. You have to have flight plans. And by the way, when you fly these drones, they have their own computers that track where they've gone. And, you can't just wander around the airspace. Actually, the airspace rules apply to these drones. And so what the government is trying to get us to believe is that you have thousands, certainly hundreds, but possibly thousands of drones flying all over this airspace, even over military installations, and they're not talking to anyone. They're not filing flight plans. No one's come forward. They even said that some of these may be law enforcement. They may be commercial drones. They may be, people that have who are licensed to do this. Well, Vince, correct me if I'm wrong, but has one person or one law enforcement agency or the military or FedEx or power line companies, anybody that would legitimately operate drones, and be registered with the FAA. Has one of them come forward to say, "Hey, that was our equipment that you saw there"? Has one?
No.
I'm
And
not
in
aware of
fact,
that.
I've been saying that to me is one of the biggest indicators that there's something else afoot. Because if there was an innocent, perfectly reasonable legal explanation for all of this, the people that were behind it would be making that declaration today. They would have done it weeks ago. They would have said, hey guys, nothing to worry about. This is perfectly legitimate. This is a commercial enterprise. We're flying these drones for legitimate reasons. Don't get whipped up into conspiracy theories, and yet nothing. It's been crickets on that.
Right. Hey, and also you have military bases up there. We all know that the military has drones. And how about this? They don't have to tell us specifically what they're doing, but hey guys, ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing here are drones. They're military drones, and it's a training exercise. Okay, nothing to be concerned about. It's a train, but we haven't heard that either. So we're getting nothing. And I tell you, this administration cannot leave office fast enough, as far as I'm concerned. They can't. And in fact, we had a curious statement from President-elect Trump just yesterday, where he actually said the government knows what's going on. They know what's going on, and our DOD, our system, we know what's going on. And then later, when he was asked if he had been briefed on this, he said that he didn't want to comment on that. I think that told us everything that we needed to know. They know this. Listen, I got to tell you, even back in the 1990s, when I was flying helicopters in the Navy, our radar systems, when it came to the airspace, was really, really good. I mean, they could tell you, if you're flying, they could tell you there's a Cessna over at 1 o'clock,
Yeah.
the altitude that they were at. They were very good at telling you as a pilot what was around you. And now we're to believe that we have all these drones flying and we're not picking it up on radar. Are you kidding me?
Isn't it the
we
case?
have a geospatial agency. You're telling me they can't see these things?
Yeah, then this is where I wanted to explore, because you have a lot of expertise on this subject in terms of what kind of things you might use. If Mike Van Meter, if you were put in charge of this today, what you would do. But let me just start with radar and help me understand this. Isn't it the case with air traffic that below a certain altitude, radar is more difficult, doesn't quite pick up some of the lower flying objects?
Oh, of course, yeah. It's going to get harder the lower you go.
Got it. So in that case, some of these drones could evade radar detection, but that doesn't preclude other ways of tracking them, right?
Correct.
So what would you do if you were tasked with this today? We're like, hey, Mike, we're going to give you an unlimited budget, the U.S. government's resources. Could you get to the bottom of this? What would you go about doing, Mike?
Well, they're telling us that they're doing some of it because, this isn't just random airspace. What they're telling us, we've had these complaints come in, certain regions of the country, and we're being told that the FAA and the DOD and law enforcement, to include the FBI, has been deployed to this region with special equipment. Have we not? We've been told that. They've even sent these specially trained people that can look up into the sky, but yet we still don't have definitive answers as to what's going on. I mean, I would do what the government has said that they're doing, but they're not giving the public any answers. And as a result of that, they're creating more problems than they are solving things. Look, they could just do a blanket. Look, this is us. It is the U.S. government. We're not going to share with you what we're doing. It's classified, but we know what it is, and you're not in any danger. We will tell you that much, but it is us. And they could always just put it under the blanket. It's just general training for the military. And I think the public would be happy. But the problem is, when people get in trouble for things, it's not always the act that you do. If you do something silly or stupid, it's not necessarily the silly or stupid thing that gets you in trouble. It's lying about doing the silly or stupid thing that gets you in trouble. And that's what's going on here. And I'll tell you something. I would tell John Kirby, and I would tell Mayorkas, I would actually bring them before Congress and say, you've told us that in Kirby's case, hey, there's nothing. At one point, he actually said there were no drones out there. And I put him under oath and say, tell us right here under oath that you're saying there were no drones. And later when we find out there are drones, we consider charging him at that point because he's lying about this. Mm-hmm. They know what's going on. And I'll tell you what, but the converse to that is if we are to believe that they don't know what's going on, I don't know which is more scary. It's scary that you're lying to us about what you do know, or you actually don't know what's going on. And if that's the case, then we have bigger problems.
Are you aware of any sort of legitimate drone operation that involves drones the size of SUVs flying in tightly tailored formations above residential neighborhoods? Would there be a reason for that?
Not above residential neighborhoods. When it comes to drones that size and flying in formation, yes, those would be military operations. And we do have very large drones that deliver, pretty heavy weapon systems, and we've been using those for quite some time. But flying over residential areas, you need to be at least 1,000 feet above a residential area. So that, some of the reports that I'm seeing it's much lower altitudes than that, and that would be a violation of FAA rules.
So what kind of U.S. government operations could you possibly envision this being? We've seen a lot of speculation that, well, maybe the feds are looking for something that went missing. A lot of chatter this week. Is there some sort of concern about nuclear material that they're hunting for? What as you imagine what's going on here with your background, what do you think it could be?
Well, I mean, of course, we're speculating here.
Yes.
But when you have something that goes on, and this is, how long has this been, Vince? A couple of months now?
It's almost at least a month of public sightings by people in New Jersey, according to local officials.
Right. So with that amount of time, with this going on, it would say to me, and again, I'm speculating here, but it would say to me that the government is looking for something, whether it's, I've heard rumors of, foreign enemies, coming in and shipping in weapons, dismantling, having them dismantled and then putting them back together. Maybe the government knows about that and they're looking for it. Radiation, those would be legitimate uses, and those would also be reasons why the government would continue to do this, even with this continuing public scrutiny,
yes.
because the scrutiny is growing every single day. So why would they continue to do it with all the scrutiny? Because they know that they need to do this. And the problem is going to be that when the truth finally does come out, and it will come out, it's going to be more embarrassing and even further discredit the government than if they were just honest about it.
Okay, and then one other piece, the psychology of the government and these big agencies. Mm-hmm. If this is a legitimate exercise, in other words, the government is using drones, hunting for something in the public interest, why is it that these agencies can't just say that? What is the motivating psychology behind constantly keeping secrets from the public on issues like this?
I know just from my time in the FBI, and I came from a law enforcement background before I was even an FBI agent. I was a police officer before, I was in the Navy, then I was a police officer, and then went into the FBI. And so I came from a police background, and I never even really understood this culture myself when I was in the FBI, and that was that the FBI just doesn't like to share information about anything to anyone.
Right.
They just don't. And I never understood that because many times, in cases that I worked, it was like, actually, it would be beneficial if we shared this information with our partners over here. So it just seems to be a culture of that. I think also that now that's the FBI, okay? But the FBI is going to be responding to the dictates of this administration. So I think that your real problem is not even the FBI. I think it's this administration. This administration mishandles basically everything it touches, everything. And whatever this is, whatever is going on,
yes.
we find out. And once Trump comes in, we're going to find out.
Yes.
I think that what's going to happen is we're going to find out that it is something that they were working on that they had originally mishandled, and they don't want to be embarrassed by it. It would be one more embarrassment. And I think that that's what's going on right now. But it's silly because to think that the Trump administration won't come in and expose whatever this is silly. But it's just showing you that, thank God we did not have any major terrorist incident occur during this administration because they are so ill-equipped to deal with it, in my opinion.
They definitely are. And one of their first impulses on everything, as you wisely note, is deception. That's one of the first things they consider is, well, how can we lie about this? And we've seen it time and time again. And all the more reason it's time for them to go. Okay. Hey,
January 20th cannot come here fast enough.
I know.
And I am so happy to see that Kash Patel has been nominated to be director of the FBI. And I just hope and pray that he surrounds himself with the people that have the experience, the long view experience of what happened to the FBI so we can correct it. And that applies to the other agencies too, but I'm just talking about my background in our military. We've got to put an end to this because, hey, listen, by the way, one final thing on this, Vince, that concerns me is that this shows you why having an open border the way that we did was a horrible idea, because we really don't know what's come across that border. And is it possible that parts for drones and weapons and even nuclear weapons, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, but is it inconceivable that this stuff couldn't have come across the border and be assembled here? Of course not.
No, it's
I mean,
not.
this is why I spent most of my career trying to secure the border, and this administration has left it open, and we're all going to pay a dear price for that.
Yeah.
I don't hope that doesn't happen.
We already are. We're seeing the consequences of it in so many ways. We just hope it doesn't get worse, and that President Trump could reverse the decline. Hey, thank you very much, as always, Mike Van Meter, for your time today. Good to talk to you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to the phones. Rick is calling in from Manassas, line 1. Hello, Rick. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Mike had a lot of good points. I believe he missed a couple of key ones about the ability of radar to see these drones. The drones raise in size from under a half a pound to something the military uses that it will see, but most of the radars in that area owned by both the FAA and DOD will not see a drone under 4, 5, 6 pounds. Just won't see them.
Got it.
It's the curvature of the Earth issue, and it's what's called the radar cross section. And this is well known in the industry. And my guess is the people that they're talking with from the FBI, DHS, FAA, blah, 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 they're the political hacks that don't understand the technical nuances of what they're trying to do. Further, you can't believe a word Mayorkas says. The man's a blithering knucklehead. Period. And,
yes.
Those are my comments.
I like those comments, Rick. Thank you. That's helpful. Yeah, no, that second one, that I feel like I have an expertise on that subject. I agree with you right there, 100%. That he's a blithering idiot. And actually, that's almost giving him too much credit. He's just a liar, too. That's one of the key points. He says our border is secure as he kicks it wide open. He's a scumbag, is what he is. Coming up on the program, Stephen Sund, the former United States Capitol Police Chief, will be with us. We've got brand new information about January 6th that you're going to want to hear, and he's going to want to react to. Stay with us on the Vince Coglianese Show. Hey, good afternoon to you. It's now 4:35, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we are making sense of the news. You can join us today, 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. You see that President Trump got a letter from Elizabeth Warren, the Massachusetts senator, Democrat, who was demanding answers. She wants to know why Elon Musk is working in the administration. She claims he has all sorts of conflicts of interest. She sent a letter last night demanding clear conflict of interest rules for Elon Musk working with the government. A Washington Post reporter by the name of Michael Scherer sharing this on X. The president's staff responded by calling her Pocahontas. Which is classic. I love that. In fact, here I'm reading from Unusual Wales, a summary of how it went down. Breaking, Senator Elizabeth Warren has sent a letter to Trump to establish, quote, conflict of interest rules for Elon Musk, given he is a top advisor, per the Washington Post. In response, Trump's team called her, quote, Pocahontas, and said that Warren was a, quote, career politician whose societal impact is 1/1024th of Elon Musk's. Is that a deep cut? That's a nice flashback, though. 1/1024th is what, in the end, a DNA test revealed about just how much Native American blood was coursing through Elizabeth Warren's veins. 1/1024th, which is really comically funny, given that for years she represented herself as a Native American, a proud Native American, in order to get all sorts of job advancements. And she even wrote a book. Remember, she wrote an entire cookbook dedicated to her Native ancestry and all of the wonderful Native recipes that she grew up learning in her tribe. 1/1024th, as the president rubs her big dumb face in it. Like 1024th. Old Pocahontas, wonderful stuff. That's great. The media is angry about it. She's trying to call out conflict of interests. Yeah. Yep. Meanwhile, Elon Musk is a full-blown African-American. He immigrated to the United States from Africa, and Elizabeth Warren can't claim that. She might try, but she's not coming close to Elon Musk here in any conceivable way. So that's a fun story. Also fun today is Politifact has determined its lie of the year. The lie of the year has been officially released. I know you've been waiting with bated breath for this. And the lie of the year is, quote, they're eating the pets. Trump Vance earned Politifact's lie of the year for claims about Haitians. It's the lie of the year. No other lie surpassed this particular lie, explains Politifact in its choice. That's obviously, they're implying that nothing else came even close to that lie of the year. They even datelined it Springfield, Ohio, which usually means the reporter is doing the reporting from Springfield. I doubt they actually went to Springfield for this. I think they're in the comfort of whatever basement they produced this in. Springfield, Ohio, underlying 2024's most outrageous political lie was a truth. Some might even argue a confession voiced by an accomplice. To get media attention, then vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance acknowledged, quote, sometimes I have to create stories. Sometimes, quote, I have to create stories. You see where this is going? Immediately, they're already deceiving you. When J.D. Vance said, I have to create stories, what he meant by that is I have to bring the media's attention to these stories. I have to, because otherwise they're not going to cover them. This is reminiscent of the alternative facts nonsense that we heard years ago when a Trump advisor, Kellyanne Conway, his campaign manager, she came out and she was explaining that the media is not covering these stories correctly, and she needs to bring alternative facts to bear to share with them the full truth. The media instantly turned that into, when she says alternative facts, what she's saying is she's lying, she's making things up. No, she's presenting information you haven't told your audience that is true. That's what she was saying at the time. To anybody with two brain cells to rub together and no partisan bias on that question would be able to accurately assess what she was saying. The same is true here of J.D. Vance. So already Politifact is lying to you. Oh, J.D. claimed that he has to make up stories. No, he has to call your attention to them. And so, with a brazen disregard for facts, this is Politifact, Donald Trump and his running mate repeatedly peddled a created story that in Springfield, Ohio, Haitian immigrants were eating pet dogs and cats. Now, if you ask Haitian immigrants to Springfield, Ohio, they will readily tell you that, yes, eating cats is, it turns out, a feature of Haitian living, especially in Haiti. Eating cats is not the most unusual thing in the world. In fact, it's much more commonplace than the media are giving it credit. In fact, those same Haitian migrants will say, the dogs thing, I don't really know about that. Wouldn't be surprised, but that doesn't pass the smell test normally. It's the cats. No, the cats, definitely. And meanwhile, to relitigate that story, you have actual stories of people consuming cats in the United States of America. Geese being yanked from local lakes. These things actually occurred. And the people, and the J.D. Vance, the provenance of this story, insofar as the Trump campaign was concerned, J.D. Vance, do you know what state he's a senator from? You familiar with that? It's 4 letters. Ohio. That's where J.D. Vance comes from. He's Ohio's senator. It was his constituents that were calling his Senate office reporting these things. And so when you have a town that's been upended, completely upended, by Biden administration imposed forced migration of foreign nationals pouring into this country, and it turns out that there are second and third order effects as a result of that, it is well within the rights of those citizens to approach their government and try to redress their grievances. So PolitiFact today is saying this is the lie of the year. It's the lie of the year. Nothing else outpaces it at all. Really? Nothing? Nothing at all? Can you think of anything that you would say, you know what? That's a bigger lie that was told this year. A bigger lie that we're all aware of. A bigger lie, especially as it relates to politics. This is PolitiFact, after all. So are there any lies that come to mind for you? 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Are there any bigger lies that come to mind for you? Because PolitiFact is sitting here saying Trump is the biggest liar, Vance is his accomplice, and they were lying about dogs and cats being eaten. That's the biggest lie of the entire year. Now, as I recall, there were some pretty big lies coming out of the mouths of Joe Biden, the people around him, and certainly the people who support him. I don't know. I mean, is Joe Scarborough a competitor at all in PolitiFact's Lie of the Year? Could he possibly have the crown for things like this?
I think he's better than he's ever been. Intellectually, analytically, because he's been around for 50 years. And, you know, I don't know if people know this or not, Biden used to be a hothead. Sometimes that Irishman would get in front of the reasoning. Sometimes he would say things he didn't want to say. This is, and I don't really, you know what, I don't really care. Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever.
I'm so glad we started our tape right at the mark. Duke is calling in from West Virginia, wants to weigh in on this line too. Hello, Duke. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Hey, Vince, outstanding. And you picked the one that I would have shown there. That Mr. Scarborough and Mr. Clooney there talking about how outstanding mentally active our president is.
Yes.
That's the one I'd pick as the lie of the year.
Yes, maybe the century. I mean, one of the biggest cover-ups, certainly in American history, and not a well done cover-up at all, because the rest of us are like, wait a second, this guy is non compos mentis. He's not getting these words out of his mouth, and yet we heard this insistence that he's doing great, Duke. So yeah, I think that ranks up there. In fact, that probably should actually be the lie of the year. Thank you, Duke. I appreciate that.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's Duke in West Virginia. And it was a lot of people told this lie. I remember Robert Hur put his report out and said, Joe Biden definitely absconded, stole classified information and mishandled it, but he is so demented that we're never really going to be able to charge him. No jury would find him guilty because, what was the phrasing they used? Something like he was kind of a likable old man with a poor memory. It's like crazy. And then Kamala Harris attacked Robert Hur and said that the president is very mentally fit.
So the way that the president's demeanor in that report was characterized could not be more wrong on the facts and clearly politically motivated.
Yeah, he's so wrong. He's completely wrong, the president. The president's totally with it. Right. That's definitely a competitor. That's top tier lie of the year business. Tom is calling in from Waterford now on line 4. Hello, Tom. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show. Any lie of the year nominees?
Hey, Vince. Great show. Yeah. How about I'm not going to pardon my son?
That is perhaps one. It's up there as one of the most brazen lies of the year. That's such a good one. Here's Joe Biden telling David Muir that very thing, Tom. Here he is.
Hunter is on trial, and I know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution. But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Yes, he ruled it out completely. How did that story end up, Tom?
Right.
Really good.
Just
all right,
amazing.
Just amazing, Tom.
Just amazing.
Thank you. That's a great competitor for the lie of the year. Let's see. Dustin is calling in from Winchester now on. Let's see. That would be line 5. Hello, Dustin. You are on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Vinny, how are you? Merry Christmas. How
Doing
about
good.
the top cop, Christopher Wray, saying that Trump's ear was hit by shrapnel? I mean, here's your top cop saying doesn't know that a bullet struck the president's ear.
Yeah.
Knowingly lying in front of Congress.
Yeah, that's right. He's the FBI director, and he stands up there and he's breathing life into conspiracy theories. Here's what it sounded like.
I think with respect to former President Trump, there's some question about whether or not it's a bullet or shrapnel that that hit his ear.
Yeah, he was testifying before Congress, again, breathing life into that conspiracy theory as
Hey,
bullets
Vinny,
were captured literally in midair by a New York Times reporter, Dustin.
Yeah, Vinny, real quick. His big announcement at that hearing was, oh, well, we thought that the AR-15 has a collapsible stock. 99% of AR-15 sold in this 10 past years have a collapsible stock. He was just trying to make a political point. Thanks.
He's a ridiculous person, and soon will be gone, thankfully. Let us see here. I've got Cliff calling in from King George now, line 8. Hello, Cliff. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
God bless you, man. You and your staff for being a voice of reason. Lionopoulos, the alleged sexual assault that he consistently said was a rape.
Yes.
$15 million that he owes Trump. And Trump is the one?
Yeah, that's right, actually. It's funny. Politifact's thing came out after that conclusion that, yes, indeed, that George Stephanopoulos had defamed Donald Trump. He claimed that he was liable for rape. Of course, the jury in the E. Jean Carroll case, there's literally a jury form where they were asked, do you find him liable for rape? And there was an option, yes or no. Right. And there's a big check mark on the box that says no. And then George Stephanopoulos told this lie while he was arguing with Congresswoman Nancy Mace.
I'm asking you a question about why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape.
It was not a criminal court. It was a civil court. It was a civil court. And by the way, she joked about the judgment and what she was going to do with all that money. And I find that offensive.
I'm questioning your political choices because you're supporting
me. You're
someone who's been found liable for rape. Actually, I'm not trying to.
You are.
That's the third time.
You're not answering the question.
I think it's disgusting.
Well, you're welcome to say that, but you have to answer the question. Why are you supporting someone who's been found liable for rape?
There's a fourth time. It just keeps happening over and over, and George knew better, which is why he just settled up for nearly $16 million, Cliff.
Hello.
That's a great one.
He's number one.
Yeah, that's a lot better than they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. I mean, that's a good phrase, but, lie of the year? I don't think so. Thanks, Cliff. I appreciate that. All right, hold on.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. More of your calls in a moment. The lie of the year. Politifact says Donald Trump and J.D. Vance told it. But is that true? Is that true? Speaking of lies, aren't there bigger lies of the year that you may want to tap into? Ones that are genuinely lies? Francis in D.C. now, line 2. Hello, Francis. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Vince. Hey, Vince.
Hey there.
I would have to say the biggest and most repeated is that the border is secure.
The border is secure. Yeah, we've heard that a lot through the years. We heard it from Alejandro Mayorkas.
It is my testimony that the border is secure, and we are working every day, day and night, to increase its security.
Now, that's what he said back in 2023. But if you're looking for one that competes this year, here's Kamala saying it in 2024.
You're confident this border's secure?
We have a secure border.
I love the hesitancy, Francis, because it's right there that you know that she's very aware that she's lying to the American people. So that's a great suggestion, Francis.
Between lying and, trying to determine whether she can actually pronounce the words correctly, she hesitates too much.
I know. It's so great. I hope they keep putting her up. You see all this chatter this week that they may run her again 4 years from now, that she really wants to run again. Francis, I'm in the middle of cutting a check right now to support Kamala Harris for president coming up 4 years from now. That's going to be hilarious. Thank you, Francis.
I will match your check then.
I love that. Yeah. Already. WMAL for Kamala. We're super excited about that. All right. Hey, coming up, former U.S. Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund will be with us. We're going to talk to him about Congress releasing a big report on what Nancy Pelosi, Liz Cheney, crying Adam Kinzinger, Adam Schiff, Jamie Raskin. That awful list can continue, but I'll spare you. What they told us and what they didn't tell us about January 6th. Steve Sund joins us with his reaction next.